the honeycomb and you want to use the wax, it's very easy. All you have to do is heat up the wax, heat up the honeycomb, and then melt it and strain. You can strain it, but basically all you would do is you would just melt it and pour it into here. And what will happen is all the honey and the particulates, like bee and ant particulates, will all go to the bottom, and the honey will solidify at room temperature, and you just pop it out. So even if you don't have like a block of beeswax that you've bought from the store, you can use honeycomb. Say if you have friends who have beehives. So now I'm going to go over the how-to. Now that you know your ingredients. And the first thing you want to do is, it depends on exactly what you're using it for. So like if you were doing a lotion or a lip balm and you wanted something like really soothing, especially with lotion or a salve, you might use calendula. But in this case, peppermint's one of those kind of flavors that everybody likes, I think. So it was really easy just to pick one. But you can do anything you want to. You can put whatever herb, but I would use discretion and caution as to what you're putting in your oils, because you have to understand you're putting this on your skin, so you don't know what might happen, especially with essential oils. But in our case, we just used mint, and a lot of you probably saw it on the stove. And all you do is you use, we used fresh, you can use dry. If you use the dried herbs to infuse in your oil, which we'll call this our carrier oil, you're going to need a lot more dry herbs than you are going to use in fresh. We used 4 ounces of fresh herbs, and we would have needed over double that, right, if we had used 3 to 4 times that if we used dry. So it becomes a problem when you're looking for a certain herb and like you're wanting to buy it. You can go to like Mountain Rose Herbs and buy them in bulk online, or you can go to Seven Andas and buy them by the pound. But you're only going to get dried. You're not really going to get those fresh herbs. So it becomes an issue. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to use a carrier oil. And my carrier oil is coconut, and that's what I use to infuse the herbs with. So I took the peppermint, I put the plant inside the coconut oil, and I let it melt. And this is a solid at room temperature, but you don't have to use coconut oil. You can use jojoba oil or extra virgin olive oil, or sweet almond oil. Is a lot of, and I've seen in a lot of recipes, it's because it's really good for your skin. And the carrier oil is what we're going to put the herbs in, and then we did, and we infused them. You can strain them. I didn't bring my cheesecloth, so I had to use a coffee filter. And you just strain them, and you don't really particularly want any plant matter in what's left behind, but you'll notice that it becomes this really pretty green color, and ours is like really dark emerald green color, and that's when you know that pretty much it's been infused in. Now there's many different ways you can get an infused oil. You can already have one set, or you can buy one online before you start the process, so you don't even have to go through what we did that took so long. But I just think it's nice. It adds to the extra, you know what's in it, you know what you've done, what you've put into your work, and that extra amount of energy that you put in. So I like doing that, but you don't have to. The easy way of doing this, instead of, if you're very impatient, like I'm a very impatient person, so I don't want to wait 3 to 4 weeks with a bunch of herbs in a mason jar sitting outside on the windowsill for it to heat and then cool and then heat and then cool and wait for that process for that to happen. I just want it right now for my recipe. So if you're really impatient like me, you can it's still going to take a long time, but you can use like 2 to 3 hours of letting it set on the lowest possible heat. You don't want it to boil, you don't want to make your leaves all mushy goo, but you just kind of want it to almost simmer. You want to get that really nice green color, but you want to take its time to get there. Once you have that, you'll strain it out, and like I said, you have the emerald green color, and then you've already put it, like I already put my beeswax in it. What you want to do is measure it out, and this is an easy way. You just put the Pyrex cup. Also you want to use a double boiler. Never put the beeswax or your mix or carrier oil straight onto the heat. You want to make sure that you have that space in between. You don't want to scorch your wax either. But the easy way to do this so that you have if you didn't already have your carrier oil or you made your own, you would just put it in the Pyrex cup, you'd melt it down, and then add it later. So that would be like the second step, and that goes over in this right here. A lot of the recipes that we found online was kind of an issue because it looked at things from a weight perspective instead of a volume, and I didn't have a scale at home. But even if you don't have a scale, I mean, you can still do it. You can still use your measurements. Like I use this Pyrex cup, but I just had to make sure that I had it melting at the time, so I knew exactly. Instead of going like this and having to guesstimate whether or not this was 2 cups or one ounce, I was just able to melt it in. So that's an easy trick. And now we're going to go on the last part. This part I get to do with you, and that's adding the shea butter. And the shea butter is another one of the solids. These are optional, and there's many different recipes online that you can choose. They're not all this. You don't all have to use this one recipe, but I just find it extremely easy because you don't have to memorize a bunch of different parts. It's one part, one part, one part. So the shea butter, I've noted in the paper how you want to put it in last. If you put it in anytime before and you let it set and heat for a long period of time, it'll become grainy. And I'm not sure if you'd want to put that on your skin, something that's very gritty. So add this in last. And I've noticed even on YouTube videos when they're making their own cosmetics like these balms or lotion bars, they even take it off the heat before they add the shea butter. But you don't have to use shea butter. Again, you could use cocoa butter. You could have used a different oil and substituted this for the coconut oil or cocoa butter, excuse me. So I'm going to go ahead and add this. Awkward silence. Amongst yourselves. Yes, if you have any questions, please ask me now.
Is there any way that you could use like a cheesecloth in your, like with the herbs in it when you're doing the infusing? So this way, instead of having to strain it, you can just pull the cheesecloth or the
You know, I would just work with, whatever's easy for you. Like, honestly, this is not, wouldn't be nearly as complicated if I was at my house, because I'm sure I wouldn't be so, gentle not to get stuff on the counters or whatever, but whatever works for you. And my hands are clean, so.
Are you sure?
No. Yes, if you don't mind. If you'll add the shape, may I have an assistant?
An assistant? How many artificial ingredients are in it?
None. Oh, that's right. It's organic coconut oil, organic beeswax, and organic shea butter. So there's no artificial ingredients in it at all. There's no for the preservative, which we're going to add in last with the essential oil. And something else, you don't want to add your essential oil in with your carrier oil and then add all your other ingredients. You want this to be last. I can't give you the chemistry as to why that is, but just some people say just don't add this as your first thing. Just make sure you add this your last thing that you do. Kind of like with the shea butter, at least now I know because I read online, well, why do you add that last? Well, because it'll become gritty. So I guess it might break down the essential oils. I don't know if you heat them up. So I can't give you that answer. For the preservative, I'm using vitamin E. And you can research this up online, how you feel about it, but this is what I'm putting in it to preserve it. But the honey, not the honey, excuse me, the wax is antimicrobial anyways, and also part of that comes with the mint. So I don't really have any fear of there being, for it to go bad, but you don't want to have any water get into it while you're making it. So, any more questions?
How much vitamin E do you put in?
1 teaspoon, just like you put in 1 teaspoon of essential oils. And in the back of the pamphlet, I put a warning. Just because it's a plant doesn't mean that in excess it is not bad for you. So the same can apply to essential oils, and especially certain types of essential oils. You don't want to put half the bottle of essential oil in your mixture because it could cause contact dermatitis or skin irritations. You think about it, you're putting this on a very sensitive part of your face, on your lips, so just use discretion. Now, some of them say put like 2% to your carrier oil, and in that case that would have been like 90 something drops, but I'm just going to put 1 teaspoon. Some essential oils, they smell great, but you shouldn't put them in products that you're going to put on your skin. Lemon essential oil is one of those, anything that's got like citronella in it, it's phototoxic, so you don't want to put it on your skin and then go outside in the sunshine and you'll burn or get contact dermatitis. So there's just a warning in the back that just because it's a plant doesn't mean it can't hurt you. Anyone else?
What about saffron or sunflower oils?
You can use sunflower oil. I have grapeseed oil and jojoba oil at home. I could use those. I mean, you can use whatever you feel is appropriate as your carrier oil, but just remember that you're putting it on your skin. So say if you're allergic to something, you wouldn't want to make your skincare products out of it.
This is lavender.
Thank you.
Will this be on the final? No.
Lavender
The
essential
final
oil
one.
is the only one you can actually put on your skin without any
Okay.
problems generally.
Thank you for mentioning it. Yeah, you always want to dilute your essential oils with the carrier. That's why I say carrier oil.
Always have a carrier oil and all the rest of them. Peppermint, you can use a little on your skin without a carrier, but I wouldn't use much because it'll burn. Like Kat said, it'll cause a dermatitis.
And yeah, you don't want that to happen.
Are there any oils you wouldn't recommend, other than the citrus, that you wouldn't recommend using at all?
Clove. Clove smells really nice, and I even have put it in my lotion bar over there along with sweet almond oil, and then I did some research on clove and realized that it can cause contact dermatitis on some people who are sensitive to it. So, and it's not really recommended in skincare products, but then you can go on Mountain Reserve and they have like a mandarin clove lip balm that you can make. So it's kind of your own use discretion.
Well, and if the concentration of it is low enough, then it probably wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, usually your roses, jasmine, that type of stuff, lavender, peppermint are usually pretty good and pretty safe to use.
Depending upon where you're putting it, you want to watch tea tree because it's going around
Tea
your
tree,
eyes and the
yes.
eyes and the mouth. You don't really want to do tea tree.
I actually saw a tea tree lip balm, and then I thought the same thing. I was like, I don't know about that one.
It makes your lips go numb. I will tell you.
You gotta be careful about
I actually
cinnamon.
have one that is made with tea tree. It makes your lips go numb.
Cinnamon is another one of those you want to be careful with. I've seen it in warming winter lip balms. However, you might want to be careful about rubbing that all over your lip.
I can figure why it's gonna warm.
So between the carrier oil and the essential oil, what's the ratio between?
It's supposed to be 2%. So you have like 5 to 10 drops per 1 ounce, I think. Maybe. I don't know. Eric's my mathematician. Eric?
If it's well, so like for the ones that we did, most of them recommended 10 drops to 2 to 3 fluid ounces, depending on how much, like how strong the essential oil or how strong you really wanted it to turn out. But most of them said it was safe to do it like that 2%.
Come look at our
about
report
2
and
to
then-
3 fluid ounces of the starting product, and then put the drops in there.
Do we actually have a cup that I could pour that in? Because I did not have forethought, and I realized I cannot pour that into those tins.
Can you use one of these cups,
Can you pull
Kat?
this?
It's got water in it. You don't want to do that.
Paper cup?
Can you use one of the paper cups? Okay.
We just don't want it to clear. And,
I need this poured in here.
yeah. I would have used the Pirate's cup, but sorry, you guys. You want to be careful.
I'm good.
And whenever you're moving your Pirate's cup or your bowl, you want to wipe the bottom part off because when you're pouring it, you don't want any of that water to get into your container. It's going to make it go rancid. So.
We don't want that.
No.
Unless we're making it poisonous. Right?
Okay. that is how easy it is to make.
Does it come in tube form?
Like I was saying earlier, it takes a while to set up. But once you're set up, it's easy.
Yeah, it takes, and honestly, if the carrier oil had been bought, and you already had it, it wouldn't have taken nearly as long. And the wax, the reason why you're doing the wax, you're melting it, like, well, I was trying to do it simultaneously, but if I had already had my carrier oil, the wax would have been the first thing I would have melted, because it takes the longest to melt. It takes forever.
I wanted that one.
Now, how long would this work?
It really doesn't take very long. Maybe, I mean, if you really wanted to make sure it was solid, maybe an hour, but I don't even think it'll take that long. Maybe half an hour. It dries, I mean, it should go pretty quick.
So you're saying that everybody can take one of these home?
Yes, tonight.
Yay! Thank you.
If you'd like, you could, you'd pour about half.
I want that one.
Alright, just a quick note about cleaning up. If you fill your pan with really scalding hot water and you put all of your stuff in there, say that you've got beeswax on your favorite Pyrex cup, you can just stick it in the really hot water, let it boil, and then let it set and cool down. All of that wax will rise to the top and you can just skim it off and then it's good to go and you're clean.
Cool.
Theoretically. I've done it before, I've seen it happen.
A lot more rich than a boat.
Done.
So good. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you, Katherine.